Welcome back, guys. You're watching another episode of Psych with SOKZ. I'm so excited to do another Q&A. This is part 2 of my little series, and these questions are really with the theme of what I've been talking about on Instagram this week. And it's all about self-love, self-compassion, self-care, and just loving everything about you and what makes you you. So let me read some questions that I got. The first one is, how important is self-compassion and how do I do it? So self-compassion, again, like I've been talking about on Instagram, if you follow me, and if you don't, Psych with SOKZ, is just being kinder to yourself, being understanding of yourself, and just not being so harsh on yourself, and being able to resonate with the things that you feel and you think. It's all about relating to yourself, and I find that it's so hard for us to do that, and we're so self-critical, and we're really just harsh on ourselves, and we don't cut ourselves some slack, but we'll do it for everyone else, and we'll give everyone else the benefit of the doubt, but we don't do that for ourselves. And I feel like that's what we need to really work on. So how do you do it? Being aware of what's going on with you and being aware of your thoughts and your feelings is one step to being compassionate. And when we talk about compassion, when we talk about with other people, it's understanding, it's caring, it's listening, it's being empathetic. But we don't practice any of those things with ourselves. So being compassionate or self-compassion is really understanding what we're feeling and riding through those feelings. So not judging ourselves and not saying that these feelings are good or bad, but becoming aware of what we're feeling and just understanding those feelings and those thoughts. And then using that awareness to be able to grow and transform through those thoughts. And we know that even though we're thinking negative things, let's use that information to better ourselves. Instead of being so critical and so harsh when we think negative things or we think bad things, let's become aware of what we're feeling and let's use that to our benefit to be able to then positively transform into a better version of ourselves. So being compassionate is really important when we're trying to develop a better sense of self. Okay, so the second question is, I hear about self-acceptance, but how do I practice it when times are tough? And this really ties in with self-compassion, but being self-acceptant is understanding that things aren't going to be the best every single day. You're not going to think positive things day in, day out, every second of every day, and that's fine. But being acceptant of the things that we are thinking and the things that we are feeling is what's going to help us get to that next step, getting to dealing with things in a better way or managing our feelings better. So if we're thinking negative things, if we're feeling really jumbled and we're not understanding what we're feeling, we need to accept those feelings first. And we need to practice something called relaxed awareness. So becoming aware of the things that we're feeling and we're thinking and allowing ourselves to not judge ourselves on that. And we are not our thoughts, we are not our feelings. They are but a event of what's going on. They don't make us. And if you think negative things, it doesn't mean that you're a negative person. If you think things that aren't so great and positive towards yourself, that doesn't mean that you're not a positive person. So we need to detach from those negative feelings. We need to detach from the bad things that we think, and we need to stop being, again, so critical on, I think these things about myself, which means I am those things. And that's not true at all, because our mind is really powerful and very complex, and we need to differentiate between what are just fleeting thoughts. These things might have come on from something else that's been negatively affecting us, and that's okay. But making sure that we're aware of what's going on and accepting that that's fine to think and feel those things, and just being less judgmental, being less harsh. Love yourself a little bit more, cut yourself some slack. We are not perfect. Nobody in the world is perfect, and nobody thinks perfect things and does perfect things ever. Self-acceptance and self-compassion definitely come hand in hand, and happiness is definitely correlated to self-acceptance. Like, the more you accept who you are and the more that you accept your thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors and your characteristics and your personality, that's going to make you happier, because you're not trying to compare yourself to other people. You're not saying I'm good or bad, I'm ugly or fat. You're not comparing yourself. All you're doing is going through the motions of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and then you're going to be aware of them and make decisions based on that. You don't need to have a thought and think this is the be all end all. Have a thought, let it roll out. Be present in that feeling. Allow yourself to feel those things and think those things, and then process them afterwards. Don't associate yourself with those thoughts immediately. I hope that answers your question. And the last one, what is there to gain from opening up to people? And I know it's really hard to open up to people, and especially because being a provisional psychologist, people come to me to open up. But to get to that point is so incredibly hard. And I feel like people see psychologists because it's a third person or a third party, and they're not judgmental, of course, and there's no bias associated with it, because if you speak to friends or family, they know you previously, they know your situation maybe too much, or they have their own formed view about what they feel that you should do, etc. But I think opening up to people allows you to engage with your inner thoughts. It allows you to dig a little deeper and understand your thoughts a little more, and it allows you to connect to people. So getting deep into your inner thoughts and your inner feelings, and then kind of deciphering them to be able to put them into words, is also going to help you, because we often feel very confused, very muddled up when we think about, what do I feel? What do I think? I'm confused. There's so many things that are going on. But when we go to open up to people, we kind of categorize these feelings, and we kind of, I guess, understand a little bit more what these thoughts are, so that we can articulate them to someone else. And I think that in itself is really good. When you're opening up to people, it allows you to categorize your feelings and being honest with yourself as well. So digging deep into those feelings, into those thoughts that are quite vulnerable, but being honest in that moment with yourself, and then allowing someone else to share that moment with you. That's really important. I think that's something that opening up to people allows you to do. Be honest with yourself, and be honest with other people, of course. And it allows you to engage with someone on a deeper level, and connect with them on a deeper level, and that's really important as well. So I think, yeah, opening up to people is really, really nice, and it's something that allows you to dig a little deeper and understand your thoughts a little bit more. It does take a lot of practice, of course. You can start with really surface things, but when it gets to the nitty-gritty stuff, that's when you need to feel a little bit comfortable with someone, trust that their judgment isn't there, that they're not going to put any of their personal biases on what you're telling them, but really just allowing you to share your feelings and your thoughts, and allowing you to give your honest truth. So yeah, I hope I answered some of your questions, and this theme is really important to me, and I'm stressing crazily over this self-love stuff, and that links to the next video. I'm going to do social media and self-esteem, which is probably one of the biggest topics ever in our generation, and I'm going to do a little bit of research on that, but stay tuned for that one. So once again, you've been watching Psych with Socks, and I'll see you next week.